Billionaire dad went to a fancy school to find a new stepmom, but his daughter chose the janitor. Benjamin Cole watched his daughter in the rearview mirror as he drove. Lucy was sitting in the back seat, staring out the window with that empty expression he knew so well. Her blonde hair fell over her small face, partially hiding the blue eyes that once sparkled with mischief and laughter. 3 years, 3 long years since Sarah passed away, leaving a hole that seemed to grow with each passing day. Not just in his life, but especially in the life of the little girl who had just turned 5 and seemed to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. "Is Daddy going to work today?" Lucy asked quietly, without taking her eyes off the window. "Just a few meetings, then we'll do something special, okay?" She just nodded. She didn't even ask what it would be. In the past, Lucy would have bombarded him with questions, bounced in her seat, and come up with 1,000 theories about what they might do. Now, she just accepted everything with a resignation that broke Benjamin's heart. He parked in front of Greenwood Elementary School, a red brick building with well-manicured gardens. Lucy got out of the car slowly, adjusted the small backpack on her shoulders, and waited for him to walk her to the entrance. "Have a great day at school, Princess," Benjamin said, kissing the top of her head. "Bye, Daddy." No smile, no tight hug, just a mechanical goodbye before she disappeared down the hallways. Benjamin returned to the car but couldn't bring himself to leave right away. He watched the other children arriving. They all seemed so alive. They ran, they shouted, they laughed. Why couldn't Lucy be like that? He knew the answer. Something was missing in her life. That maternal presence that Sarah had always provided was missing. He tried to be both a father and a mother, but he was failing miserably. At work that day, Benjamin could barely concentrate. The meeting with the investors seemed like a blur of numbers and projections. His tech company was doing well, very well in fact. But what was the point of professional success if he was losing his daughter? Around 3 in the afternoon, he made a decision that surprised him. He called the school. "Hello, this is Benjamin Cole, Lucy's father. I was wondering if it would be possible to speak with some of the mothers today at pickup. I need a female perspective on something important." The secretary, Mrs. Henderson, seemed confused, but agreed to pass on the message. At 5:30, Benjamin was standing in the schoolyard, watching the parents arrive to pick up their children. His gaze settled on the group of elegant women near the playground. These were exactly the type of people he had in mind, educated, well-dressed, from good families. Lucy needed a mother figure who could offer stability, culture, refinement. Someone who understood the importance of a good education and could provide the best for his daughter. Lucy ran to him, the first display of energy he had seen in weeks. "Daddy, you came early." "I did." "Lucy, I need to talk to you about something very important." She looked at him with curiosity, her blue eyes finally showing some interest. "You know that I miss Mommy every day, right?" Lucy nodded, her expression turning serious again. "And I know you do too. I've been thinking that maybe it's time we find someone to be part of our family. Someone who can be a mother to you." The little girl's eyes widened. "A new mommy, a stepmom. But here's the most important thing, Lucy. I want you to be the one to choose. Me? You. Because you are the most important person in my life, and I need to make sure you'll be happy with this choice." Lucy was silent for a few moments, processing the information. "How will I choose?" Benjamin pointed to the group of elegant women chatting near the playground. They were all mothers of students at the school, dressed in expensive clothes and carrying designer bags. Women of class, he thought. The right kind of person. "How about we meet some of these ladies? They are mothers of your classmates, people who are suitable." Lucy hesitated but let her father guide her toward the group. "Excuse me," Benjamin said, approaching. "I'm Benjamin Cole, Lucy's father. I don't know if you remember me." "Of course," replied a woman with perfectly styled brown hair. "I'm Elena Martinez, Diego's mom. And this is Victoria Thompson, Sophie's mom." The other women quickly introduced themselves. They all looked like they had stepped out of a fashion magazine with perfect smiles and flawless nails. "Lucy," Say hi to the ladies, Benjamin encouraged. Hi, Lucy mumbled, hiding behind her father's leg. What a shy little girl, Victoria commented, but without much interest, already turning back to her conversation. We were just talking about summer vacation, Eleanor explained. I'm taking Diego to France this year. Have you been to Europe, Benjamin? We haven't had the chance yet, he replied, noticing how Lucy was shrinking more and more. Oh, you must go. I always say children need culture, don't they? Victoria joined in. Sophie just got back from a horseback riding camp in Switzerland. It cost a fortune, but it's worth every penny. And what about you, dear? Eleanor asked Lucy condescendingly. What do you like to do? Lucy looked up at her father, as if asking for permission to answer. I like to draw, she said softly. How cute, Victoria smiled, but she was already looking at her phone. Elena, did you see that Isabella's party was cancelled? Really? Why? The women got lost in a conversation about social events, charity galas, and expensive trips. Lucy tugged on her father's shirt sleeve. Can I go play on the playground? She whispered. Of course, princess. Stay close, okay? Lucy ran toward the playground, clearly relieved to escape the situation. Benjamin tried to maintain the conversation, impressed by the lifestyle of these women. They were exactly what he had in mind, sophisticated, well-connected, capable of giving Lucy the best that life could offer. Sure, they might be a bit distant, but that was normal among people of their class. Over time, they would surely develop affection for the girl. Excuse me, he said after a few minutes. I need to see where Lucy went. Of course, Elena waved distractedly. See you around. Benjamin walked across the yard looking for his daughter. He found her near the main building, crouched next to a blonde woman who was cleaning the floor with a mop. His first reaction was embarrassment. Lucy was talking to a member of the cleaning staff. The woman was young, maybe around 25, with blonde hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore a blue cleaning uniform, clearly a person from a lower social class. This was not the kind of company he expected for his daughter. Hi, sweetie. Are you okay? She was saying, her voice sweet and genuine. Lucy smiled, the first real smile Benjamin had seen in weeks. I'm fine. Do you work here? I do. I keep everything clean so you can all study in a beautiful place. What about you? How was your day at school? It was nice. I drew a butterfly in art class. That's amazing. I bet it was beautiful. Do you like butterflies? I do. My mom used to say they represent transformation. The woman stopped cleaning and crouched down completely, getting to Lucy's level. Your mom sounds very wise. She's not here anymore. I'm so sorry, sweetie. That must be very hard. Lucy nodded, but she didn't seem sad. On the contrary, she seemed comfortable talking to this stranger. What's your name? Lucy asked. Caroline. And yours? Lucy. Do you have kids, Caroline? I don't, but I always enjoy talking with the children here. You are all very special. Benjamin watched the scene, fascinated. Caroline wasn't talking down to Lucy like the other women. She was treating her like a real person, with real feelings. Caroline, Lucy said softly, looking around to make sure no one else was listening. Could you be my mom? Benjamin's heart stopped. Caroline also seemed surprised, but she didn't laugh or dismiss the question. Why are you asking that, sweetie? Because you like me, for real, not because you have to. Caroline smiled, a mixture of tenderness and sadness in her expression. I do like you, Lucy. A lot. Just then, Lucy saw her father approaching. Daddy, she shouted, running to him. Come meet my friend Caroline. Benjamin approached, still processing what he had just witnessed, and more importantly, still trying to understand why his daughter was having such an intimate conversation with a school employee. It didn't seem appropriate. Hello, he said to Caroline, who stood up quickly, looking embarrassed. Good afternoon, Mr. Cole. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just... You're not interrupting anything, Benjamin cut her off. I'm Benjamin. Caroline Mitchell. I work here as part of the cleaning staff. Daddy, Lucy pulled his hand, her eyes shining with an excitement he hadn't seen in years. I've chosen. Chosen what, princess? My new mom. It's Caroline. The silence that followed was almost deafening. Caroline turned tomato red, and Benjamin felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. A janitor. His daughter had chosen a janitor over educated, sophisticated women with social standing. It made no sense at all. Lucy looked from one to the other with a determined expression. "Lucy," Benjamin began, trying to maintain his composure. "No, Daddy. You said I could choose, and I choose her. Caroline likes me for real, more than any of those women over there." She pointed to the group of elegant mothers who were now watching the scene with expressions that ranged from shock to poorly disguised amusement. Benjamin felt his face flush. This was humiliating. What kind of image was he projecting? "Mr. Cole," Caroline mumbled, mortified. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what—" "No," Lucy interrupted, holding Caroline's hand. "You don't have to be sorry. Daddy said I could choose, and I chose you." Benjamin looked at his daughter. Her blue eyes were full of life again. There was a determination there, a certainty he hadn't seen since before Sarah's death. The elegant mothers began to whisper among themselves, clearly shocked by the situation. Benjamin could imagine the conversations. "Can you believe it? Benjamin Cole's daughter chose the janitor." His reputation at the school was ruined. A 5-year-old had rejected high society women to choose a simple cleaning employee. "Lucy," Benjamin said calmly, "are you sure?" "I'm sure. Caroline makes me feel happy, like Mommy used to." Benjamin looked at Caroline, who was clearly panicking, unsure how to react to this impossible situation. I have to get back to work," Caroline stammered. "It was a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Cole." She started to walk away, but Lucy ran after her. "Caroline, wait." The woman turned, her kind blue eyes full of gentleness even amidst her embarrassment. "What is it, sweetie?" "Will you think about what I said?" Caroline glanced at Benjamin, who was watching everything with an unreadable expression, then looked back at Lucy. "I'll think about it. But right now I need to finish my work, okay?" "Okay, see you tomorrow." "You will. See you tomorrow, Lucy." As Caroline walked away, Benjamin knelt beside his daughter, still trying to process what had just happened. "Lucy, you understand this isn't that simple, right? It's not like choosing a toy. We're talking about someone who will become part of our family." "I know, Daddy. But did you see how she talked to me? How she looked me in the eyes? Those other women didn't even know I was there." Benjamin took a deep breath, trying to choose his words carefully. "Princess, I think you should choose someone else. Caroline is, well, she's not appropriate for our family." "Why?" Lucy asked, frowning. "Because—" He hesitated, not wanting to sound cruel, but knowing he needed to be clear. "Because she works in cleaning, Lucy. She's not from our social level. We need someone who can give you what you deserve: education, culture, opportunities. Someone of our social standing. But she's nice to me. I know she is, but kindness isn't enough. Lucy, I have an important company, a reputation in the community. People expect certain things from us. If I marry the school janitor, it wouldn't be good for my image. And consequently, it wouldn't be good for you either. Do you understand?" Lucy looked at him, confused. "I don't understand. Why does it matter what other people think if Caroline makes me happy?" Benjamin felt a pang of frustration. How could he explain the complexities of social standing to a 5-year-old? "Because we live in a society, Princess. Because these things matter. How about we give those ladies over there another chance? I'm sure that with time you'll grow to like one of them." Lucy crossed her arms stubbornly. "No, I chose Caroline and I'm not changing my mind. You said I could choose." Benjamin couldn't completely argue. Part of him knew Lucy was right about Caroline's kindness, but another part, the part that cared about appearances, about status, about what was appropriate, was in a total panic. "Let's go home," he said, his mind racing. "We need to talk more about this. Can I choose her, Daddy?" "Please." Benjamin looked into his daughter's eyes, saw the hope there, and realized that his life had just taken a completely unexpected turn, a turn that challenged everything he believed about social class and suitability. "We'll see, Princess. We'll talk at home." The next morning, Lucy woke up with an energy Benjamin hadn't seen in months. She jumped out of bed, ran to pick out her clothes, and even hummed during breakfast. "Someone's in a cheerful mood today," Benjamin commented, watching his daughter enthusiastically spread jam on her toast. "I'm going to see Caroline at school," Lucy announced, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Benjamin's stomach sank. After their conversation in the car yesterday, where he tried to explain why Caroline wasn't an appropriate choice, he had hoped Lucy would have forgotten this crazy idea. Clearly, she hadn't. "Lucy, remember what we talked about giving other people a chance?" "I remember, but I also remember you said I could choose," she replied, looking at him with those determined blue eyes. Benjamin sighed. There was no arguing with the relentless logic of a 5-year-old. During the drive to school, Lucy was glued to the window, as if she didn't want to miss a single second of the scenery. When they arrived, she practically leaped out of the car. "Bye, Daddy," she shouted, running toward the entrance. Benjamin watched her disappear down the halls, his heart heavy. Part of him was happy to see Lucy excited again. The other part was terrified of the direction things were taking. At the first recess, Lucy ran out of the classroom. Her classmates headed for the playground, but she had other plans. She roamed the hallways looking for the familiar blue uniform. She found Caroline in the girls' restroom, replacing the toilet paper. "Caroline!" Lucy shouted, bursting in like a whirlwind. Caroline turned, surprised, and her face lit up with a genuine smile. "Hi, sweetie, how are you today?" "I'm great, look what I made." Lucy pulled a crayon drawing from her backpack. It was a figure of a woman with blonde hair and a blue dress, next to a small tall blonde little girl. Caroline stopped what she was doing and knelt to Lucy's level, examining the drawing with serious attention. "This is beautiful, Lucy. Tell me about it." "This is you," Lucy pointed to the larger figure, "and this is me. We're in the school garden, see? I made pink flowers because they're the prettiest." "They are very pretty. And look how you drew my hair, it's just right," Caroline said, running a hand through her own ponytail to compare it with the drawing. Lucy giggled, beaming with the attention. "Can you keep it?" "Really, can I?" "Yes. I made it especially for you." Caroline held the drawing as if it were a treasure. "I'll put it in my locker, so I can look at it whenever I want." "Thank you so much, Lucy." The bell rang, signaling the end of recess. Lucy made a face. "Already? But I just got here." "Time flies when you're having fun, right? But don't worry, we'll see each other at the next recess." "Promise?" "Promise." Lucy ran off to her classroom, but she looked back 3 times, waving at Caroline. During the second recess, Lucy appeared again. This time, Caroline was cleaning the windows in the main hallway. "Caroline, guess what?" "What is it?" "I learned a new song in music class." "Want to hear it?" "Of course I do." Lucy positioned herself as if she were on a stage and began to sing a song about butterflies, making gestures with her hands to imitate wings. Caroline stopped working completely, giving the performance her full attention. When Lucy finished, Caroline applauded enthusiastically. "Bravo! Bravo! You sing beautifully!" "Really? You thought it was pretty?" "I thought it was wonderful. And the gestures, they looked like real butterflies." Lucy blushed with pride. In music class, when the teacher had asked for volunteers to sing solo, she had remained quiet in the back of the room. But here, with Caroline, she felt like a star. "Can I sing another one?" "You can, but quickly, because the bell is about to ring." Lucy sang 2 more songs before she had to return to class. Each one met with the same genuine enthusiasm from Caroline. At lunchtime, when the children were in the cafeteria, Lucy asked to go to the restroom. Instead, she went looking for Caroline once again. She found her in the yard, sweeping leaves that had fallen from the trees. "Caroline, can I help?" "Help how, sweetie?" "I can gather the leaves into piles for you." Caroline hesitated for a moment. Technically, Lucy should be having lunch, not helping with the cleaning. "You won't get in trouble for being here." "I won't. I finished eating super fast." "All right then. But just for a few minutes." "Okay." Lucy dedicated herself to the task with comical seriousness, gathering the leaves into small piles with her hands. Caroline continued sweeping, but kept an eye on the little girl. "Lucy, can I ask you a question?" You can. Why do you like talking to me so much? Don't you have friends your own age to play with? Lucy stopped gathering leaves and grew serious for a moment. I have some friends, but... She hesitated. They don't really listen to me. They just talk about their new doll or the movie they saw. You really listen to me. Caroline's heart ached. What do you mean, sweetie? When I tell you something, you stop everything you're doing and look me in the eye, like now. Lucy gestured to the still broom in Caroline's hand. Other people keep doing other things while I'm talking. Caroline knelt again, setting the broom aside completely. That's because what you have to say is important, Lucy. Very important. Really. Really. And I love hearing your stories, your songs, seeing your drawings. All of it makes me happy. Lucy smiled, but there was something melancholic in her eyes. My mom was like that too. She always stopped everything to listen to me. Caroline's heart constricted. It was the first time Lucy had mentioned her mother so directly. She must have been a very special person. She was. Lucy went back to gathering leaves, but more slowly now. Sometimes I pretend I can still talk to her, but it's not the same. Caroline didn't know what to say. Words seemed inadequate in the face of such deep pain in someone so small. It must be really hard to miss someone that much. It is, especially at night. Daddy tries, but he gets sad when I talk about her, so I stop talking. And with me, how do you feel talking with me? Lucy looked at Caroline with an expression far too serious for a 5-year-old. With you, I feel normal. Like it's not weird to miss her. Like it's okay to talk about her. The bell rang, signaling the end of lunchtime. Lucy made her usual face. Again already? Again already? But we'll see each other later, okay? Okay. Lucy ran off, but turned at the last second. Caroline? Yes. Thanks for letting me help with the leaves. Thank you for wanting to help, sweetie. The rest of the afternoon dragged on for Lucy. In math class, she stared out the window, hoping to see Caroline in the yard. In science class, she drew butterflies in the margin of her notebook, thinking about the song she had sung during recess. Finally, it was time for the last recess of the day. Lucy practically flew out of the classroom. She found Caroline on a bench in the yard, eating a sandwich. For the first time, Caroline wasn't working. Can I sit with you? Lucy asked. Of course. Come here. Lucy settled next to Caroline on the bench. For a few minutes, they just watched the other children play. Caroline, Lucy said softly. Yes? Can I tell you a secret? Caroline stopped eating and turned to Lucy, giving her complete attention. You can. Lucy looked around to make sure no one was listening, then moved closer to Caroline. I lost my mommy. Her voice was almost a whisper. She got very sick. I miss her so much. Caroline felt her eyes well up, but she controlled herself. Lucy needed her strength, not her tears. I'm so sorry, sweetie. It must hurt a lot in your heart. It does, Lucy nodded, her own eyes filling with tears. It hurts every day. But you know what hurts even more? What? Daddy wants to find someone to be my stepmom, but I don't want just anyone. Lucy looked directly into Caroline's eyes. Mommy was special. If there's going to be someone new, they have to be special too. Caroline took Lucy's small hand in hers. And how do you know if someone is special? By the way they look at me. By the way they listen to what I have to say. By the way, they make me feel important. Caroline squeezed Lucy's hand gently, saying nothing. Sometimes, silence was more powerful than any word. Caroline. Yes, you make me feel important. Caroline felt a lump in her throat. She knew she was treading on dangerous ground, that her relationship with Lucy was becoming something far beyond a simple friendship between an employee and a student. But looking at this brave little girl, who had trusted her with her deepest feelings, she couldn't pull away. You are important, Lucy. Very important. Really? Really? And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be a part of your life. Lucy smiled for the first time since they had started talking about her mother. That's why I chose you, because you see that I'm important. The bell rang, marking the end of the last recess. Lucy stood up reluctantly. I have to go. Daddy will be here to pick me up soon. He will. See you tomorrow, sweetie. See you tomorrow, Caroline. Lucy ran off, but before entering the building, she turned and waved. Caroline waved back, her heart full of conflicting emotions. She knew she was getting attached to this little girl in a way that could complicate everything. She knew Benjamin Cole would probably not approve of the intimacy developing between them. She knew her position at the school could be at risk. But when she looked at Lucy, really looked, in a way no one else seemed to, she saw a brave, intelligent child who deserved to be loved and valued. She saw a little girl who had lost her mother too soon and was trying to navigate a world that didn't always make sense. And if Caroline could offer a little comfort, a little genuine attention, a safe place where Lucy could be herself, well, maybe that was more important than any complication that might arise. Caroline finished her sandwich, carefully placed the drawing Lucy had made that morning in her bag, and went back to work. But her mind remained on the bench in the yard, on the brave words of a 5-year-old girl who knew exactly what made her feel special. And for the first time in a long time, Caroline felt special too. It was a sunny Thursday when Lucy found Caroline organizing cleaning supplies in the hallway closet. The girl had become an expert at locating Caroline anywhere in the school, as if she had a special radar. "Caroline," she shouted, running down the hall. "Hi, sweetie. How was your morning?" "Good. I learned about fish in science class. Did you know some fish can live for over 100 years? "I didn't know that. How interesting." Caroline smiled, closing the closet. "Want to tell me more about it?" Lucy nodded enthusiastically, and the two headed to their favorite bench in the yard. It was a ritual that had naturally developed between them. Lucy would share her discoveries of the day, and Caroline would listen with genuine attention. After talking about century-old fish and seaweed, Lucy fell quiet for a few moments, swinging her legs on the bench. Caroline sensed something was on the girl's mind. "What are you thinking about, Lucy?" "I was thinking about families," she said, looking at Caroline with curiosity. "Caroline, do you have kids?" The question caught Caroline off guard. For a moment, she hesitated, running a hand through her blonde hair. "No," she answered softly. "I don't have any kids." "Why not? You're so good with children." Caroline smiled, but there was a melancholy in her blue eyes. "Thank you for saying that, sweetie. The truth is, well, I've always dreamed of being a mother and having a family." "You've always dreamed?" Lucy turned completely towards Caroline, giving the conversation her full attention. "Always. Ever since I was little, about your age, I would play with dolls and imagine what it would be like to have my own children. I dreamed of making them breakfast, helping with homework, telling them stories before bed. Like the stories you tell me." "Exactly like the stories I tell you." Caroline smiled warmly. "I imagined a house full of laughter, of running around, of good messes, a real family." Lucy frowned, confused. "But if you always dreamed of it, why didn't it happen?" Caroline took a deep breath. She rarely spoke about her personal life, but there was something about Lucy that made her open up in a way she never had before. "Life doesn't always go the way we planned, sweetie. I lost my parents when I was very young. Like I lost my mom." "Similar, yes. But I was even younger than you. I was only 3 years old." Lucy's eyes widened. 3 years old, but that's so little." "It is. I was so young I barely remember them. I only have a few images, like blurry photos in my memory. My mom singing in the car, my dad tucking me in at night." "And what happened after?" "Well, since I didn't have any siblings or close relatives, I went to an orphanage. It was a place where children who didn't have families stayed until someone adopted them." Lucy instinctively took Caroline's hand. "Did someone adopt you?" "No." Caroline squeezed the small hand gently. "I grew up right there until I turned 18. Then I left to work and live on my own. Alone all that time. Alone all that time." Lucy was silent for a few moments, processing the information. Caroline spoke with an impressive serenity, as if she had made peace with her past a long time ago. But Lucy, with the sharp intuition children have for human feelings, sensed something more. "Caroline?" "Yes?" "Do you feel lonely?" The question was asked with such simplicity and sincerity that Caroline felt a lump in her throat. No one had ever asked her that directly. "Sometimes," she admitted, "especially when I see families together. When I see mothers picking up their kids from school, or when I walk past parks and see parents playing with their children, sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have that." "Is that why you like talking to me so much?" Caroline looked at Lucy, surprised by the girl's insight. "Maybe talking with you makes me feel important, like I'm special to someone." "You are special to me," Lucy declared with the brutal honesty of children. "Very special." Caroline felt her eyes well up but managed to control herself. "And you're special to me too, Lucy. Very special." "Caroline?" "Yes, sweetie. When you dreamed of having a family, what was it like?" "What did you imagine?" Caroline smiled, allowing herself to dream out loud. "I imagined a house with a yard where the kids could play, a big kitchen where I could cook while they did their homework at the table. I imagined weekends making pancakes, going to the park, watching movies cuddled up on the sofa, and reading stories before bed. And reading stories before bed. Always different stories, and singing lullabies when they had nightmares." Lucy sighed, a small sound but loaded with meaning. "That sounds perfect." "To me, it would be perfect," Caroline agreed. "It didn't have to be a big house or have expensive things. It just needed to have love. A lot of love. Like the love my mom had for me. Exactly like the love your mom had for you." They sat in silence for a few minutes, each lost in their own thoughts. Caroline thought of all the dreams she had kept in her heart over the years. Lucy thought about how Caroline seemed to understand exactly what she was missing. "Caroline, can I ask you another question?" "You can ask me anything you want. Do you still dream of having a family?" Caroline hesitated. It was a dangerous question, especially considering the delicate situation with Lucy and Benjamin. "I do," she answered honestly. "I still dream even as an adult, even knowing it might never happen. I still dream." "I think you would be the best mom in the world," Lucy declared with absolute conviction. "Why do you think that?" "Because you really listen to me. Because you stop everything you're doing when I want to talk. Because you remember the things I tell you. Because you make me laugh when I'm sad." Lucy paused. "And because you understand what it's like to lose someone important." Caroline felt a tear escape, but quickly wiped it away. "Thank you for saying that, Lucy. It means a lot to me." "Does it really?" "It means more than you can imagine." The bell rang, signaling the end of recess. Lucy made her usual face, but this time there was something different in her eyes. "Caroline." "Yes." "Maybe your dreams can still come true. Maybe you're just waiting for the right family to come along." Before Caroline could respond, Lucy had jumped off the bench and run towards the school building. But she turned back one last time, waving with that luminous smile that always made Caroline's day brighter. Caroline was left alone on the bench, her heart full of contradictory emotions. Lucy's words echoed in her mind. Maybe you're just waiting for the right family to come along. Could a 5-year-old be right? Could it be that after 25 years of loneliness, Caroline had finally found the family she had always dreamed of, even if it was in the most unexpected way possible? She stood up from the bench, tucked those thoughts into her heart, and went back to work. But for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to daydream about pancake mornings and bedtime stories. The first thing Benjamin noticed was the smile. On Monday morning, when Lucy came down for breakfast, she was humming. It wasn't forced or artificial. It was genuine, spontaneous, as if a light that had gone out 3 years ago had been switched back on. "Someone's in a good mood today," Benjamin commented, pouring orange juice into his daughter's cup. "I am," Lucy replied, biting into her toast with enthusiasm. "I'm going to tell Caroline about the movie we watched yesterday. She'll love to hear about the penguins in Antarctica." Benjamin felt a pang of something he couldn't identify. Annoyance. Concern. Lucy had mentioned Caroline at least 10 times since the incident at school last week. "Lucy, you've been talking a lot with that employee." "Caroline," she corrected. "And yes, I have. She's my friend." "But you have other friends at school your own age." Lucy shrugged, as if the question didn't make much sense. "I do. But Caroline is different. She really listens to me. During the drive to school, Lucy was glued to the window, but this time not with the vacant stare from before. She was alert, excited, as if every minute brought her closer to something special. When they arrived at the school, she jumped out of the car with energy. "Bye, Daddy. Love you." It had been months since she had spontaneously said, "I love you." Benjamin stood there for a few moments, processing the information. His daughter was happy, genuinely happy. But why? Because of a janitor. At work, Benjamin tried to focus on meetings and reports, but his mind kept going back to Lucy, to the sparkle in her eyes, the spontaneous smile, the way she talked about Caroline. At school pickup, Lucy practically flew to the car. "Daddy, guess what happened today?" "What was it, Princess?" "Caroline taught me how to make origami." "Look." Lucy pulled a small paper bird from her backpack, a bit crumpled but clearly made with care. "That's beautiful," Benjamin said, examining the origami. "Caroline knows how to do that." "She does. She said she learned when she was a kid. And you know what else? She told me that when she was little, she dreamed of traveling to Japan, where origami comes from. Did you know that in Japan they believe if you make 1,000 paper birds, your wish comes true?" Benjamin drove, half listening to the avalanche of information. Caroline had taught his daughter origami. When? During recess. And then Caroline said that if I wanted, we could make 1 bird a day, until we reach 1,000. "It would be our special goal," Lucy continued, excited. 1,000 birds is a lot, Lucy. "I know, but Caroline said the best things in life require patience, like planting a seed and waiting for it to become a tree." Benjamin frowned. What kind of conversation was that for a cleaning lady to have with a 5-year-old? In the following days, the pattern repeated. Lucy would wake up excited, go to school practically skipping, and come back with stories about Caroline. On Tuesday, it was about how Caroline had explained why leaves change color in the fall. On Wednesday, Caroline had taught Lucy how to identify different types of clouds. On Thursday, they had planted sunflower seeds in small, improvised pots. Caroline said that sunflowers always turn their faces to the sun, Lucy explained during dinner. Even on cloudy days, they know where the sun is. She said people can be like that too, always looking for the light, even when it's dark. Benjamin stopped chewing. She said that. She did, and you know what else? She said I'm like a sunflower, because even after losing Mommy, I still look for things that make me happy. Benjamin's heart constricted. That woman was having deep conversations with his daughter, conversations that he himself had tried to have and failed. On Friday, when he picked Lucy up from school, he decided to observe more closely. He stayed in the car for a few extra minutes, watching the children come out trying to spot Caroline. He saw Lucy run towards the main building, waving at someone near the entrance. It was Caroline, holding a mop, but stopping everything to wave back at Lucy. The woman's smile was genuine, warm, and Lucy was radiant. "Daddy!" Lucy came running to the car. "Caroline gave me this." It was a small paper butterfly, delicately folded and colored with crayons. "She made it during her lunch break. She said it reminded her of a butterfly because I'm colorful and free." Benjamin looked at the simple gift. It cost nothing, it wasn't sophisticated, but it had been made with care, with thought, for his daughter. "Caroline must like you a lot," he commented. "She does, and I like her a lot too." Lucy hugged the paper butterfly to her chest. "Daddy?" "Yes?" "You should get to know Caroline better. I think you'd like her if you really talked to her." Benjamin drove in silence. Part of him still resisted the idea Caroline was just a cleaning lady. She had no formal education, no social standing. She couldn't offer Lucy the opportunities that a suitable stepmother would. But another part, a growing part, was intrigued. Who was this woman who had managed to bring the light back into his daughter's eyes? Who knew about origami, about clouds, about sunflowers and butterflies? Who made Lucy feel heard and valued? Over the weekend, Lucy spent her time making origami, tending to the sunflower seed she had planted, and telling imaginary stories about the paper butterfly. Benjamin watched, fascinated. His daughter wasn't just smiling again, She was creative, curious, engaged with the world around her. The following Monday, he made a decision. He arrived at the school 15 minutes early. Lucy jumped out of the car and ran inside, as usual. Benjamin waited a few minutes, then got out of the car and walked towards the building. He found Caroline cleaning the windows in the main hallway. She was focused on her work, her movements smooth and efficient. When she saw him approaching, she seemed surprised and slightly embarrassed. "Mr. Cole, good afternoon. Is something wrong with Lucy?" "No, no," Benjamin hurried to reassure her. "Lucy is fine. Actually, I came here because of her." Caroline stopped cleaning the window, giving him her full attention. "Because of her? I wanted to thank you for the kindness you've shown her. Lucy has been coming home different, happier, and I know it has to do with your friendship." Caroline blushed slightly. "Lucy is a very special girl, Mr. Cole. It's a pleasure to talk with her. She talks a lot about you, about the things you do together, the conversations you have. I hope it's not a problem. I don't want to interfere or—" "It's not a problem," Benjamin interrupted, surprised by his own sincerity. "In fact, it's good to see Lucy like this. It's been 3 years since I've seen her so lively." Caroline smiled, and Benjamin noticed how the smile completely transformed her face. She wasn't just pretty. There was a radiance, a genuine kindness that emanated from her. "Lucy told me about your loss. I'm very sorry. It must be very difficult for you both." "It is. Especially for her." Benjamin hesitated, then continued. "Caroline, can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course. How do you know all these things? Origami, about clouds, about plants?" Caroline laughed, a soft, musical sound. "I've always been curious. When I was a child, I spent a lot of time in the library. It was a place where I felt safe. I read about everything: geography, science, art, history. I guess the curiosity stuck with me." Benjamin was silent for a moment, processing. Caroline wasn't just an uneducated cleaning lady, as he had assumed. She was a person who cultivated knowledge, who had a thirst for learning. "Caroline," he said, the words coming out before he could reconsider. "Would you like to come have dinner with us tonight, at our house?" Caroline's eyes widened. "Mr. Cole, I don't know if that would be appropriate." "It would be. Lucy would be thrilled. And," he hesitated, "I would like to get to know the person who brought my daughter back to life." Caroline looked at him for a long moment, as if trying to decipher his intentions. "Are you sure?" "I am." "Then I accept. Thank you for the invitation." "Great, how about 7? I can pick you up." "No need, I can get there on my own." "What's the address?" Benjamin gave her the address, and they arranged the details. When they said goodbye, he felt strangely nervous. What was he doing? Inviting the school janitor to have dinner at his house. But when he saw Lucy leave school and run to him, radiant as always, he knew he had made the right decision. "Daddy, guess what? Caroline taught me the rainbow song." "The rainbow song? It's a song that teaches the colors of the rainbow in order. Want to hear it?" "I do. But first, I have a surprise for you." "What surprise?" "I invited Caroline to have dinner with us tonight." Lucy stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, her eyes widening. "Really? Caroline is having dinner at our house?" "She is." "Daddy!" Lucy shouted, jumping up to hug him. "This is the best news of my entire life." During the drive home, Lucy didn't stop talking about what they could cook, which table to use, what story to tell Caroline, which movie to watch together. Benjamin listened, amused by his daughter's enthusiasm. But he was also nervous, very nervous. At home, Lucy became a whirlwind of activity. She wanted to tidy the whole house, choose the best flowers from the garden for the table, decide which dress to wear. "Daddy, can I help cook?" "You can. How about we make that spaghetti with tomato sauce that you like? And salad. Caroline likes healthy things. And for dessert, we can make those chocolate cookies." Benjamin smiled. Infected by his daughter's excitement, they spent the afternoon cooking together, something they hadn't done in a long time. Lucy sang the rainbow song while mixing the salad, and Benjamin found himself whistling along. At 7 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. Lucy ran to open the door. "Caroline!" she shouted, jumping into the woman's arms. Benjamin watched the scene from the kitchen. Caroline had changed from her blue uniform into a simple but elegant dress in a soft green color. Her blonde hair was down, framing her face. She was carrying a small bouquet of wildflowers. "For you," Caroline said, handing the flowers to Lucy. "I picked them on the way. I hope you like them." "They're beautiful," Lucy declared. "I'm going to put them in the special vase." Benjamin approached to greet Caroline. Up close, he noticed she was nervous. Her hands were trembling slightly. "Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Cole." "Benjamin, please, call me Benjamin." "Benjamin," she repeated, smiling shyly. During dinner, Benjamin watched Caroline interact with Lucy. It was impressive. She paid attention to the girl's every word, asked questions about the drawings Lucy showed her, laughed genuinely at her childish jokes, and patiently answered all her curiosities. But more than that, she treated Lucy like a whole person, not like a child to be tolerated or distracted. When Lucy spoke about missing her mother, Caroline listened respectfully, without trying to change the subject or minimize her feelings. "Your mother must have been very special," Caroline said, "because you have a very big heart, and that comes from somewhere." Lucy smiled, and Benjamin felt his heart clench. In 3 years, no one had spoken about Sarah with Lucy so naturally and comfortingly. "Caroline," Lucy said, between bites of spaghetti, "can you come have dinner here all the time?" Caroline looked at Benjamin, uncertain. "That would be up to your dad, sweetie." "Daddy," Lucy turned to him with hopeful eyes. Benjamin looked at Caroline. He saw the genuine kindness, the patience, the real affection she showed for Lucy. He saw how his daughter had blossomed under this attention. He saw a woman who, regardless of her social standing, was bringing joy back into his family. "I think we can arrange that," he said softly. Lucy clapped. Caroline smiled gratefully, and Benjamin realized that his prejudices about suitability and social standing were being slowly dismantled by a simple truth. This woman made his daughter happy, and maybe, just maybe, that was the most important thing of all. After the successful dinner, Benjamin began to invite Caroline over regularly. What had started as a gesture of gratitude turned into something more, a genuine curiosity about who this woman was, who had brought so much light into Lucy's life. It was a Saturday afternoon when Benjamin decided to deepen his conversations with Caroline. Lucy was in the living room watching cartoons, and they sat in the garden with coffee. "Caroline," Benjamin began, stirring his sugar slowly, "can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course," she replied, though her posture showed caution. "How did you end up working at the school? I mean, you seem to know so much about so many different things." Caroline smiled, but there was a shadow of melancholy in her eyes. "It's a long story. Are you sure you want to hear it?" "I'm absolutely sure." Caroline took a deep breath, looking at the garden flowers before she began. "When I left the orphanage at 18, I had literally nothing but the clothes on my back and a few books I had collected over the years. No family, no contacts, no money." Benjamin remained quiet, realizing he was about to hear something important. "My first job was at a diner. I cleaned tables, washed dishes, served coffee. The owner was a kind man who let me sleep in the back storeroom until I could afford to rent a small room. That must have been very difficult." "It was. But I didn't let myself feel sorry for myself. During the day I worked, and at night I studied. I borrowed books from the library, took free courses at the community center. I wanted to learn everything I could." Benjamin watched her speak, impressed by the serenity in her voice as she described hardships he could barely imagine. "After the diner, I worked in a bakery. I would wake up at 4 in the morning to help make bread. I liked the smell, the process of creating something from scratch. The baker taught me some special recipes that I still keep today." "Is that why you make those delicious cookies that Lucy loves?" Caroline smiled, genuinely happy. "Exactly. I learned that recipes carry stories, memories. And Lucy deserves to have sweet memories." "How many jobs have you had?" "Many. After the bakery, I worked in a flower shop. That's where I learned about plants, how to care for gardens. The owner was an elderly Japanese man who taught me origami during our breaks. He said folding paper was a form of meditation. Benjamin remembered the first origami Lucy had brought home, the little crumpled bird she cherished like a treasure. I also worked in a library for 2 years. That was the job I loved the most. I organized books, helped people find information, read to children on Saturday afternoons. Why did you leave? Budget cuts. The library had to lay off staff. Caroline shrugged, as if it were just one more obstacle overcome. After that, I cleaned offices at night, cared for the elderly, helped at a daycare. Caroline, Benjamin interrupted her gently. How did you manage to stay so optimistic? To go through so many hardships and still be the way you are? Caroline was silent for a moment, as if she had never consciously thought about it. I think I learned early on that bitterness doesn't change the past or improve the future. Every job, every difficulty, taught me something. At the diner, I learned to be efficient. At the bakery, I learned that starting early can be an advantage. At the flower shop, I learned patience. At the library, I learned that knowledge is the one thing no one can take from you. Benjamin was impressed by the simple and profound wisdom of her words. And how did you end up at the school? 2 years ago, I saw the ad in the newspaper. They needed someone for cleaning and general maintenance. It wasn't just about cleaning. It was also helping with small repairs, taking care of the garden, organizing materials. It seemed perfect because I could use everything I had learned. And you like the job? I love it. Her eyes sparkled. I love being surrounded by children, even from a distance. I love seeing the building clean and organized at the start of each day, knowing I'm contributing to an environment where they can learn and grow. Benjamin took a sip of his coffee, processing everything he had heard. This woman had faced a life of difficulties he could barely comprehend, and she had not only survived, she had thrived. She had turned every obstacle into a lesson, every job into an opportunity for growth. Caroline, can I ask you another question? You can. Did you never feel wronged? Did you never get angry for having to fight so hard for things that other people get for free? Caroline smiled, but it wasn't a bitter smile. Of course, I felt angry, especially when I was younger. I saw other girls my age with families, with their own rooms, with opportunities I would never have. But over time, I realized that anger only hurt me. How so? Anger made me waste energy I needed to build my life. It made me focus on what I didn't have instead of what I could achieve. She paused. I learned that dignity doesn't come from what you have, but from how you act with what you're given. Benjamin fell silent, letting those words sink in. He thought about his own life, privileges he had always taken for granted, opportunities he had never questioned, the financial security he had always had. And now, what are your plans? To keep learning. To keep growing. Caroline glanced toward the living room where Lucy was laughing at the cartoons. And maybe find a family to love. The sincerity of the answer caught Benjamin off guard. There was something so direct, so honest in the way Caroline spoke about her deepest desires. Caroline, he said, choosing his words carefully, you are an extraordinary person. No, I'm not. I'm just someone who learned to work with what life gave me. But that's exactly what makes you extraordinary. Your strength, your resilience, the way you transformed hardship into wisdom. Caroline blushed slightly. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Why does it? Because, she hesitated, because you are a successful, educated person who could be with anyone. The fact that you value my story, my journey, it's special. Benjamin felt a pang of discomfort as he remembered his initial prejudice. This unsuitable woman he had rejected for Lucy was actually one of the most admirable people he had ever met. Caroline, can I confess something? Of course. When Lucy chose you that first day, I was prejudiced. I thought you weren't appropriate for our family because of your social position. Caroline nodded calmly. I realized that, and I completely understand. No, you don't understand. I was wrong, completely wrong. Benjamin leaned forward. You have more character, more wisdom, more strength than any of those women I considered suitable. Lucy saw it immediately. I was the one who was blind. Lucy has a pure heart. She sees people for who they really are. And you are incredible. Your simplicity isn't a lack of sophistication, it's authenticity. Your humility isn't a lack of self-worth, it's real confidence. You've faced more challenges at 25 than most people face in a lifetime, and you've kept your kindness intact. Caroline was moved, her eyes welling with tears. Thank you, Benjamin. You don't know how much those words mean to me. Just then, Lucy appeared at the garden door. What are you guys talking about? She asked curiously. About how Caroline is a special person, Benjamin answered, looking directly at Caroline. I already knew that, Lucy declared, running to sit on Caroline's lap. Caroline is the best person in the world. Caroline hugged Lucy, and Benjamin watched the scene with his heart full of a new emotion. It wasn't just gratitude for the joy Caroline had brought to Lucy. It was genuine admiration for a woman who had transformed a life of hardship into a lesson in dignity and courage. For the first time, Benjamin fully understood why Lucy had chosen Caroline. It wasn't just about kindness or attention. It was about recognizing a strong, brave, and genuine soul. And Benjamin was beginning to recognize it too. The rain beat hard against the windows, creating a hypnotic rhythm that echoed through the quiet house. Benjamin glanced at the clock on the car's dashboard, 11:30 p.m. The meeting with the Japanese investors had gone on much longer than expected, but it was crucial for the company's new project. His cell phone rang the exact moment he parked in front of the restaurant for the final part of the negotiations. It was the babysitter, Mrs. Patterson. Mr. Cole. I'm sorry to call so late, but I'm worried about Lucy. Benjamin's heart leaped. What happened? She woke up an hour ago with a very high fever. She's burning up, sir. I gave her the medicine, but she's restless, crying. I think it would be good for you to come home. Benjamin looked out the car window. Through the restaurant's glass, he could see the Japanese investors already seated at the table, waiting for him. That meeting had taken months to arrange. If he left now... What's her temperature? 102, sir, and it's rising. I'm on my way home. Can you stay with her until I get there? Actually, sir, I need to leave. My own mother is sick and I need to take care of her tonight. I'm so sorry, but... Benjamin closed his eyes. Mrs. Patterson was a good babysitter, but she didn't live with them, and now Lucy was sick and would be alone. All right, Mrs. Patterson, go take care of your mother. I'm heading home now. He hung up and sat in the car for a few seconds, the dilemma tearing him apart. Lucy needed him, but those investors... Suddenly, a thought came to him. Caroline had given him her phone number weeks ago in case of an emergency. He had never called back, but he dialed quickly. Hello? Caroline's voice sounded sleepy, but alert. Caroline? It's Benjamin. I'm sorry to call so late, but I need your help. What happened? Is everything okay? Lucy has a high fever. I'm stuck in a very important meeting and the babysitter had to leave. I know it's a lot to ask, but... I'm getting dressed already, Caroline interrupted him. What's the address again? Caroline, are you sure? It's almost midnight and it's raining hard. Benjamin, Lucy needs someone. I'm on my way now. Should I get the key from a neighbor, or is it hidden somewhere? There's a spare key under the blue planter on the porch. Caroline, No need to thank me. Take care of your business. Lucy will be fine with me. The line went dead. Benjamin stared at the phone, feeling a mix of relief and something deeper he couldn't name. 10 minutes later, he was in the restaurant, but his mind was at home. Meanwhile, Caroline ran through the rain to her small house to get her car. She had gone to bed early because she had worked a double shift at the school, but Benjamin's call had woken her completely. Lucy was sick and needed her. 20 minutes later, Caroline parked in front of Benjamin's house. The rain had eased to a steady drizzle, but she still got soaked running to the porch. She found the key under the blue planter and quietly entered the house. Lucy, she called softly, heading up the stairs. She heard a whimper coming from the girl's room. When she entered, she found Lucy sprawled on the bed, covers kicked aside, her face red with fever. Caroline, Lucy mumbled, her eyes glassy. Hi, sweetie. I'm here. Caroline approached and touched the girl's forehead. It was burning. Are you feeling sick? I'm so hot and cold at the same time, Lucy complained, shivering. Caroline went to the bathroom and returned with a cool, damp washcloth. She sat on the edge of the bed and began to gently wipe Lucy's forehead. "This will help you feel better," she whispered. "Where's Daddy?" "He's at work, but he'll be back soon. In the meantime, I'll take care of you, okay?" Lucy tried to sit up but was too weak. Caroline helped her settle more comfortably against the pillows. "Can I get you a glass of water?" "I don't want water," Lucy murmured. I want you to stay here." Caroline smiled, stroking the girl's sweaty blonde hair. "I'm not going anywhere, I promise." Lucy tried to get comfortable but remained restless. The fever made her confused and uncomfortable. Caroline realized the girl needed more than just cool compresses. "Do you want me to sing you something?" she offered. "Can you?" Caroline began to hum a soft lullaby, a song she had learned years ago at the daycare where she had worked. Her voice was low and melodious, creating a calm atmosphere in the room. Slowly, Lucy began to relax. Caroline continued to sing as she applied cool compresses to the girl's forehead and adjusted the blankets. "Caroline," Lucy whispered between songs. "Yes, sweetie. Can you hold me?" Caroline's heart ached. Without hesitation, she lay down next to Lucy on the bed and pulled the girl into her arms. Lucy nestled against Caroline's chest like a kitten seeking protection. "Is that better?" Caroline murmured. "Much better." Caroline continued to sing softly, rocking Lucy gently. From time to time, she checked the temperature on the girl's forehead and adjusted the cool compress. Around 1 in the morning, Lucy started to become a little delirious from the high fever. "Mommy," she mumbled, her eyes closed. Caroline felt a lump in her throat but answered gently, "I'm here, sweetie." "Mommy, you're not going to leave again, are you?" "I'm not leaving," Caroline whispered, holding Lucy a little tighter. "Promise, promise." Lucy sighed and settled more comfortably in Caroline's arms. "I love you, Mommy Caroline," she murmured, already half asleep. Caroline felt tears streaming down her face. She had never been called a mother. She had never held a sick child in her arms. She had never felt a love so protective and intense as what she felt for Lucy in that moment. "I love you too, sweetie," she whispered, kissing the top of the girl's head. They stayed like that for an hour. Caroline singing softly, Lucy sleeping heavily in her arms, the rain tapping gently against the window. Around 2:30 in the morning, Benjamin finally arrived home. He was exhausted and worried, the negotiations having ended much later than he expected. He went up the stairs quietly, heading to Lucy's room. The door was ajar, and he could see a soft light from the nightstand lamp. What he saw when he looked into the room left him paralyzed. Caroline was lying on the bed, holding Lucy in her arms. The girl was sleeping soundly, nestled against Caroline's chest, as if it were the safest place in the world. Caroline also seemed to be asleep, but one of her hands continued to gently stroke Lucy's hair. On the nightstand, Benjamin saw a glass of water, some damp washcloths, and the thermometer. Caroline had taken care of everything, but it wasn't the organization that impressed him. It was the image of the two of them together, the way Lucy fit perfectly in Caroline's arms. The expression of absolute peace on his daughter's face, the way Caroline, even while sleeping, maintained a protective gesture. Benjamin felt something break inside his chest. It wasn't just gratitude, it was recognition. In that moment, looking at that scene, he didn't see a school employee who had done him a favor. He didn't see someone from a different social class who was temporarily helping out. He saw a mother caring for her daughter. He saw a woman who had dropped everything in the middle of the night, faced the rain and darkness, to rush to a child who needed her. He saw someone who held Lucy as if she were her own most precious treasure. He saw Caroline not as the school janitor, but as the woman Lucy had chosen to be her mother. And for the first time, Benjamin completely understood why. Caroline stirred slightly, opening her eyes and seeing him standing in the doorway. For a moment, they looked at each other in silence. "How is she?" Benjamin whispered. "The fever broke about an hour ago." "She's sleeping peacefully," Caroline answered softly, not moving so as not to wake Lucy. "Thank you," he said, and there was much more than gratitude in his voice. Caroline smiled gently. You don't have to thank me. Taking care of her isn't a favor, Benjamin. It's natural. And in those simple words, Benjamin found the answer to all the doubts he still carried. Caroline wasn't there out of obligation or politeness. She was there out of love. And Lucy had felt it from the very first moment. The dinner at the Italian bistro had been perfect. Conversation flowed naturally, genuine laughter, comfortable moments of silence where Benjamin and Caroline simply looked at each other, discovering layers of one another they hadn't known before. When they got home, Lucy was already asleep. Mrs. Patterson said the girl had asked 3 times when Daddy and Caroline would be back. She's very perceptive, Caroline commented, as Benjamin walked her to her car. She always has been. Sometimes I think she sees things that adults take a long time to notice. Caroline smiled, but there was a question in her eyes. Benjamin, what are we doing? I mean, where is this going? Benjamin stood beside her car, his hands in his pockets. Honestly, I don't know. I just know I don't want it to end. And Lucy? Lucy loves you. She always has. The question is... He stepped a little closer. Can you imagine being a part of our family? For real? Caroline looked at the house where Lucy was sleeping, then back at Benjamin. I can... And it scares me and excites me at the same time. Why does it scare you? Because I've never had a family. I don't know if I'll know how. Benjamin gently held her face between his hands. Caroline, you already know how. You've been a mother to Lucy since the first day you spoke. He kissed her then, a soft kiss full of promise. When they separated, Caroline's eyes were shining. Good night, Benjamin. Good night. The next morning, Benjamin woke up with a crystal-clear certainty. Caroline was no longer just the woman who took good care of Lucy. She was the woman he was falling in love with. During breakfast, Lucy made her first innocent intervention. Daddy, is Caroline coming for lunch today? I don't know, Princess, was why? Because when she's not here, you keep looking at your phone all the time, like you want to call her. Benjamin nearly choked on his coffee. Lucy. And when she is here, you smile differently. With your eyes. I smile with my eyes. You do, just like the prince in the Cinderella movie when he looks at her. Benjamin laughed, impressed by his daughter's observation. You really think so? I do. And Caroline smiles with her eyes too when she looks at you. Lucy bit her toast thoughtfully. Daddy? Yes? Do you like Caroline? Yes, I do. No, Daddy. Do you like her? Like the prince likes Cinderella? Benjamin looked at his daughter, seeing the hope shining in her blue eyes. And what if I said yes? How would you feel? Lucy jumped from her chair and hugged him tightly. Happy. So happy. Does this mean Caroline can be my real mom? Easy, Princess. These things take time. But you'll try. Will you ask her to marry you? Benjamin laughed at his daughter's impatience. Let's take it slow, okay? But yes, maybe in the future. What future? Tomorrow? Next week? Lucy! Okay. But will you invite her to dinner tonight? Benjamin sighed, defeated. I'll call her. Now. Lucy clapped, victorious. Caroline accepted the invitation and arrived at 6 in the evening, bringing ingredients to make cookies with Lucy. I thought we could make them together, she explained to Benjamin. Lucy told me you haven't made cookies in a long time. During the afternoon, Benjamin watched the two of them in the kitchen. Caroline teaching Lucy how to measure flour, how to crack eggs without making a mess, how to knead the dough just right. Lucy absorbed every word, radiant to have Caroline's full attention. But Benjamin noticed something more. He wasn't just admiring how good Caroline was with Lucy. He was admiring Caroline. The way her blonde hair fell across her face when she leaned in to help Lucy, how she laughed when the girl made a joke, how her voice softened when she explained something. He was falling in love with her as a woman, not just as a future mother for Lucy. Daddy! Lucy shouted from the kitchen. Come see how our cookies turned out. Benjamin joined them, and Lucy immediately began the second phase of her campaign. Caroline, do you know how to dance? A little? Why? Because Daddy is a really good dancer. Mommy always said so. He should teach you. Caroline looked at Benjamin, smiling. Is that true? Sarah exaggerated, Benjamin said, a little embarrassed. No, she didn't, Lucy protested. Daddy put on that song you and Mommy liked. Lucy, please, Caroline, ask him. Caroline laughed at the girl's insistence. Benjamin, one dance won't hurt anyone. Defeated by the two of them, Benjamin put on a soft song. Caroline approached shyly, and he pulled her into his arms. They danced in the living room, with Lucy clapping in delight. But as the music continued, they got lost in each other. Benjamin feeling how perfectly Caroline fit in his arms. Caroline feeling how natural it was to be there, as if it was where she was always meant to be. You two look beautiful together, Lucy announced when the music ended. Benjamin and Caroline separated slightly, but remained in each other's arms. Lucy's right, Benjamin murmured. She is, Caroline agreed. So, are you getting married now? Lucy asked hopefully. Lucy, Benjamin protested, laughing. What? I just want to know if I'll have to pick out a dress for the wedding. Caroline laughed so hard that tears streamed down her face. How about we worry about the cookies first, she suggested. Okay, but you'll talk about it later, right? Benjamin and Caroline looked at each other over Lucy's head. We will, Benjamin said. We'll talk about a lot of things. That night, after Lucy had gone to bed, they sat in the garden once more. Benjamin, Caroline said, is Lucy right about us? What do you mean? About us looking beautiful together, about the future. Benjamin took her hand. Caroline, I don't want you here just because Lucy needs a mother. You don't? No. I want you here because I can't imagine my life without you. Because when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about is seeing your smile. Because when you're not here, the house feels empty, even with Lucy in it. Caroline squeezed his hand. Benjamin, I'm falling in love with you, Caroline. Not with the perfect nanny or the future stepmom, with you. With the woman who reads books in the library, who knows origami, who makes Lucy laugh, who makes me want to be a better person. Caroline's heart raced. I'm falling in love with you too, but I'm scared. Of what? Of messing it all up, of not being enough, of you both realizing that I'm not. Benjamin silenced her with a kiss. You are more than enough. You are perfect for us. When they separated, Caroline smiled. Lucy is going to be ecstatic. She will be. She basically planned our entire relationship. She's a wise little girl. She is. She chose you from day one. I was just slow to catch up. They fell silent, looking up at the stars. Caroline? Yes. Can you see yourself here? With us? Forever. Caroline looked at the house where Lucy slept, then at the man beside her. I can, and for the first time in my life, forever doesn't scare me. Benjamin smiled and pulled her closer. Then let's build this forever. Together. Together, Caroline repeated, knowing she had finally found where she belonged. The next morning, Benjamin woke up and went down to the kitchen to find Caroline making breakfast. Lucy was sitting at the table, still a little pale, but smiling as Caroline cut up fruit for her. Good morning, Benjamin said, his voice still hoarse from sleep. Caroline turned, and for a moment their eyes met. There was something different in the air, a new intimacy that hadn't existed before. Good morning, how did you sleep? Well, and you too? Lucy slept through the night after her fever broke, Caroline replied, turning back to the fruit. She just woke up a little while ago. Daddy, Caroline made toast with honey just the way I like it, Lucy announced excitedly. Benjamin observed the domestic scene. Caroline moved about the kitchen naturally, as if she had always been a part of this morning routine. She didn't seem like a visitor or an employee doing a favor. She seemed like family. Caroline, you didn't have to make breakfast. I wanted to. She turned to him again, smiling. Besides, Lucy was hungry when she woke up. Benjamin took a cup of coffee and sat at the table. For a few minutes, they shared the meal in comfortable silence. But Benjamin realized he was watching Caroline more closely. The delicate way she helped Lucy, how she smiled at the girl, how her eyes sparkled when she laughed. Caroline, he said once Lucy had gone to the living room to watch TV. "About last night. I don't know how to thank you." "I already told you, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. You dropped everything to come take care of her, and the way you took care of her." Benjamin paused. "Lucy has never slept so peacefully when she's sick." Caroline blushed slightly. "She's special. Anyone would have done the same." "No, Caroline, not just anyone." Benjamin moved a little closer. "What you did yesterday, you can't learn that. It comes from the heart." Their eyes met again, and this time neither of them looked away immediately. Something was being said without words. "Benjamin, Caroline began, but was interrupted by Lucy returning to the kitchen. "Can I go play in the garden?" the girl asked. "You can, but put your jacket on," Benjamin replied. When Lucy left, Caroline started to clear the plates, but Benjamin gently held her wrist. "Leave that for later." The touch was brief, but they both felt an electric current pass between them. Caroline looked at Benjamin's hand on hers, then at his face. "I should go," she said softly. "Should you?" "Yes, maybe it's better." "Caroline," Benjamin's voice was soft but firm, "would you like to have lunch with us today?" She hesitated. "Benjamin, I don't know if... Please, Lucy would love it, and I would too." Caroline looked at him for a long moment before nodding. "All right." During lunch, Benjamin found himself paying attention to details he had never noticed before. How Caroline's eyes laughed when Lucy told a funny story. How she automatically cut Lucy's food into smaller pieces. How she lightly touched his arm when she wanted to get his attention. Small gestures, natural gestures, gestures that spoke of care and affection. After lunch, while Lucy was napping, Benjamin and Caroline sat on the porch. The afternoon was warm, and they drank lemonade as they talked. "Caroline," Benjamin said, swirling the glass in his hands, "can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "Have you ever thought about having your own family? I mean, not just dreamed, but actually planned?" Caroline was quiet for a moment. "I've thought about it, but it always seemed like something distant, you know, like a beautiful dream you keep in your heart, but don't expect to come true. And now, she looked at the house where Lucy was sleeping. "Now, I sometimes think that maybe it's not so impossible." Benjamin turned to her completely. "Caroline, I need to tell you something." "What?" "That night, when I came home and saw you with Lucy, something changed for me. I can't stop thinking about that image." Caroline's heart began to race. "Benjamin, let me finish." He leaned forward. "I've been thinking a lot about the three of us, about how you fit into our lives in a way that feels right, natural. That scares me a little," Caroline admitted. "Why?" Because I've been feeling it too. And I don't know if I should." Benjamin smiled, the first truly warm smile she had seen from him. "Why shouldn't you?" "Because we're from different worlds, Benjamin. You're successful, educated, respected. You're the strongest, kindest woman I know." Benjamin interrupted her. "You're the person my daughter chose to be her mother. And with every day that passes, I understand why more and more." Caroline felt her eyes well up. "It's not that simple. Maybe it's simpler than we think." They fell silent for a few minutes, the weight of the conversation hanging between them. Caroline fidgeted with her hands nervously, while Benjamin watched her. "Caroline." "Yes?" "Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow, just the two of us? Lucy can stay with Mrs. Patterson." Caroline looked at him, surprised. "Like a date?" "Like a date," Benjamin confirmed, smiling. Caroline took a deep breath. "Benjamin, I don't know if I'm ready for that." "You don't have to be ready for anything more than a conversation. A good meal. And maybe a chance to get to know each other better without Lucy around. What if it doesn't work out?" "What if it does?" Benjamin gently countered. Caroline smiled, despite her nerves. "You're not going to give up, are you? Not when it's about something important, and this, you are important to me." Caroline was quiet for a long moment, and Benjamin respected her silence. When she finally spoke, her voice was low but firm. Okay, I'll have dinner with you. Really? Really, but on one condition. Which is? That it's somewhere simple, nothing too fancy or expensive. Benjamin laughed. I promise. I know a little Italian bistro that serves the best pasta in town. Nothing fancy, just good food and a cozy atmosphere. Perfect. Just then, Lucy appeared on the porch, sleepy and with messy hair. What are you guys talking about? She asked, settling between them. About grown-up stuff, Benjamin answered, stroking his daughter's hair. Boring stuff. No, Caroline said, smiling at Benjamin. Good stuff. Lucy smiled as satisfied and snuggled up against Caroline. Benjamin watched them, and his heart warmed. For the first time in 3 years, he had hope that his family could be whole again. And this time, it would be a family chosen not for convenience or status, but for genuine love and a real connection. Caroline, noticing Benjamin's gaze on them, felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation. She was entering unknown territory, but for the first time in her life, she felt it might be worth the risk. After all, the best dreams were the ones that seemed impossible until they came true. 6 months later, autumn had arrived, painting the trees around Greenwood School in shades of gold and red. Benjamin parked the car in the same spot where, months ago, he had watched Lucy emerge, downcast and silent. Today was different. Very different. Ready? He asked Caroline, who was in the passenger seat. Ready, she smiled. It still feels strange arriving here like this. Why? A few months ago, I was cleaning these hallways. Now. Benjamin took her hand and kissed the simple but beautiful ring on her finger. He had proposed 2 weeks ago, with Lucy applauding and shouting, I knew it, when Caroline said yes. Now you're Lucy's mother, and my future wife. They got out of the car and walked towards the schoolyard. Caroline no longer wore the blue cleaning uniform. She wore a wine-colored coat and jeans, her loose blonde hair blowing in the breeze. Some parents greeted Benjamin as usual, but now they greeted Caroline too, not as an employee, but as his partner. Benjamin. Caroline. Elena Martinez waved, approaching them. Benjamin felt Caroline tense up. Elena was one of the elegant mothers who had dismissed Lucy on that first day. Caroline, I heard you're getting married, and you stopped working at the school? I did, Caroline answered with serenity. I now coordinate reading programs at the community center. It was true. Caroline had found a job that combined her passion for books and children. Benjamin had offered to support her, but she had insisted on working. I need to have my own identity, she had explained. How wonderful, Elena said, already looking for something more interesting. As Elena walked away, Caroline sighed. Some things never change. What matters is what the three of us have. The bell rang and the children started to come out. Benjamin and Caroline stood near the gate, where they always waited for Lucy. And there she was. Lucy appeared at the door, her blonde hair shining in the sun. When she saw them, her face lit up with that smile that had become Benjamin's favorite thing. Daddy! Caroline! She shouted, dropping her backpack and running. Benjamin knelt to receive her, and Lucy threw herself into his arms before turning to Caroline. Mommy, Caroline, she said, hugging her tightly. Caroline's heart still raced whenever Lucy called her that. It had started naturally after the engagement, when Caroline was no longer enough. Hi, my love, Caroline said, kissing the girl's head. How was your day? Great. I made a drawing for you. Want to see? Of course, we do, Benjamin said, picking up the backpack. Lucy took out a colored paper and showed it proudly. It was a drawing of 3 figures holding hands in front of a house, a tall man, a blonde woman, and a small girl. Above them, a yellow sun was smiling. It's us, our family. Benjamin looked at the drawing, then at Caroline, whose eyes were misty. It's perfect, Princess, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Can I hang it in my room? You can hang it wherever you want, Caroline answered. Lucy carefully put the drawing away, then looked at them both. Can we go home? I'm hungry. Let's go. What do you want for dinner? That pasta Mommy Caroline made last week. Perfect. We'll stop at the supermarket. They started walking towards the car. Naturally, Lucy took Caroline's right hand and Benjamin's left, standing between them. Benjamin looked from side to side at Caroline, radiant and relaxed, chatting with Lucy about her day in class. At Lucy, skipping slightly, holding tightly to the hands of the two adults she loved. A sense of completeness washed over him. It was different from the happiness he had felt with Sarah, but no less intense. It was a deep peace, an absolute certainty that he was in the right place, with the right people. He had never had such a true home. It wasn't perfect. No family was. There were still difficult moments, nights when Lucy dreamt of Sarah, times when Caroline felt insecure, instances when Benjamin worried about his decisions. But they were imperfections they faced together, like a real family. "Daddy," Lucy said when they reached the car. "Yes, Princess. Are you happy?" Benjamin looked at her, then at Caroline, who was smiling softly. "Very happy, Lucy. Happier than I thought was possible." "Me too. And Mommy Caroline is happy too, right?" "I am, my love. Very happy." Benjamin helped Lucy settle into the back seat. As he and Caroline were getting into the car, she touched his arm. "Benjamin, thank you." "For what?" "For letting me be a part of this. For giving me a family." Benjamin held her face and kissed her gently. "Caroline, you're not just a part of our family. You are our family. And you always have been, ever since Lucy chose you." "Are you two going to stand there kissing forever?" Lucy asked from the back seat, laughing. "I'm hungry." Benjamin and Caroline laughed, got into the car, and pulled out of the parking lot. As he drove, Benjamin looked in the rearview mirror and saw Lucy humming softly, swinging her feet with quiet contentment. He glanced at Caroline beside him, smiling at some private thought. And he knew with absolute certainty that they had built something real and lasting. They were no longer a single father and an employee trying to figure out what to do with a sad child. They were a family. A true family, formed not by blood or social convention, but by genuine love, conscious choice, and real commitment. A family that had started with the simple wisdom of a 5-year-old girl who knew how to recognize a kind heart. And as they drove home, where they would have dinner together, where they would do homework together, where they would tell bedtime stories together, Benjamin smiled. Lucy's choice had been perfect from the very first day. She had chosen Caroline to be her mother, and Benjamin had discovered that Caroline had chosen them too. They left together, smiling, not as boss and employee, but as father, mother, and daughter. A happy family formed by love. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like, because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.